You know that feeling of being surrounded by people but completely alone? Crowded city, full subway car, 100 faces, not one of them looking at you. You probably think that's just modern life, just the way things are now. That's not the full story. Look, the obvious explanation is loneliness. Too much screen time, not enough real connection. And yeah, that's part of it. But here's what nobody tells you. Scientists watched this exact pattern emerge 50 years ago in a barn with mice. And what happened next was so strange, so unsettling, that the lead researcher stopped publishing for years.
Here's the part nobody talks about. In the 1960s, an ethologist named John Calhoun built what he called Universe 25, a mouse paradise. Unlimited food, unlimited water, no predators, no disease, temperature-controlled, nesting materials provided. Everything a mouse could ever want. The only limit was space. A square box about 15 feet across, big enough for maybe 50 mice to live comfortably. Calhoun put 4 breeding pairs inside, and then he watched, every day, every night, for years. For the first year, the population doubled every 55 days. Everything looked fine, perfect even. Mothers nursed their young, males competed for territory, the colony was thriving. But then something shifted. Around day 315, the population hit 620 mice, and the rules started breaking. Males became aggressive, then hyper-aggressive. Then they stopped competing altogether. Some stopped leaving their nests entirely, just sat in one spot, eating, sleeping, never moving. Others roamed in circles, obsessively grooming, eating, sleeping, doing nothing social at all. They bumped into each other without reacting. No fighting, no mating, no recognition. Females abandoned their young. Some attacked their own litters. The natural mothering instinct, one of the most hardwired behaviors in mammals, just switched off. And then came the strangest part. A new class of mice emerged. Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. Young males who spent all their time eating, sleeping, grooming, and absolutely nothing else. No fighting, no mating, no social engagement, no interest in anything beyond their own fur. They were physically perfect, healthy, well-fed, immaculately clean. And they had completely checked out of life. By day 600, the population peaked at 2,200 mice, more than 40 times the comfortable capacity. Then it began to collapse. Females stopped reproducing entirely. Males withdrew further. The beautiful ones kept grooming. The population declined steadily towards zero. Here's the number that still haunts researchers. The last viable pregnancy happened on day 920. After that, nothing. Not a single birth. The mice didn't die from hunger or disease. They died from social withdrawal. Calhoun called this the behavioral sink. He called the beautiful ones the first sign of what he termed the first death, a psychological death that comes long before the physical one. Now here's where you come in, because Calhoun wasn't really studying mice. He was building a mirror, and what he saw terrified him. He delayed publishing his full findings for years. He wrote in his private notes that the parallels to human cities, to crowded housing projects, to rising rates of antisocial behavior, to young men withdrawing from competition and reproduction were uncomfortably direct. Think about that for a second. A man who spent his entire career studying rodents looked at human society and saw the same patterns emerging. That was the 1970s. You're not broken for feeling exhausted by social life. You're not weak for wanting to withdraw. That's a brain responding to conditions it wasn't built for. Here's the truth Calhoun couldn't say outright. Mice in Universe 25 didn't lack resources. They lacked meaningful social space. The kind where you can form bonds, establish territory, recognize individual faces, build a life that feels like yours. When that space disappears, when every interaction feels crowded, competitive, and anonymous, the brain starts to shut down social circuits. Not because you're antisocial, because the environment stopped rewarding social effort. And here's the uncomfortable mirror. You live in a world of 8 billion people, infinite digital connection, zero physical escape. Dating apps where everyone is replaceable. Cities where you pass 1,000 faces and recognize none. Open plan offices, crowded subways, endless notifications from people who don't actually know you. The beautiful ones didn't stop trying because they were lazy. They stopped because the effort stopped working. You're not a mouse in a barn, but your brain is running the same ancient calculation. When social effort stops paying off, when every interaction feels shallow, competitive, or exhausting, withdrawal isn't a failure.
It's a mechanism. The same mechanism that saved energy for your ancestors when the group got too big to trust. So tonight, when you're scrolling instead of calling, when you're alone in a crowded room, when you feel that quiet pull toward doing nothing at all, don't ask what's wrong with me. Ask what your environment is telling your brain. Because the beautiful ones weren't broken. They were responding to a world that stopped asking them to show up. The difference is you can see the trap. You can name the mechanism. And once you see it, really see it, you get to decide whether you stay in the corner, grooming, or whether you walk across the cage and try something different. That choice is the only thing Universe 25 never gave them.